The following podcast is for informational purposes only and does not constitute legal advice. While we aim to provide helpful insights, listeners and viewers should seek their own independent legal advice for specific issues or concerns. Neither the host nor any guests can be held legally responsible for any decisions or actions taken based on the content of this podcast.
Good morning. Welcome to the Housing Sector Podcast. It is very often my pleasure to speak to people both from inside the sector and outside the sector who are making great strides to improve things for the lives of others and themselves. And today we've got someone who really is brave, who really is walking that walk. Jakia, thank you very much indeed for joining me on the Housing Sector Podcast today. Just to give people a little bit of an overview, you're currently on a service charge strike, is that correct?
That's right, yep.
And who is your housing provider, as long as you're happy to name them?
Yeah, Tower Hamlets Community Housing.
Okay, and what was the point in which you thought enough's enough? We're going to have to start taking some action here.
So I moved to this property 6 years ago. When I initially moved to the property, they misled me for bidding for this property. So they didn't advertise everything together. So we have a separate heating charge. So on the bidding system, it was just the rent and the service charge. And, that was within our budget, what we can afford. So we never bid for any properties above our budget. So when I went to sign the tenancy, that's when I saw that they misled me because there was another additional cost, which is the heating cost. And I did challenge it on the spot, but it was either you take it or you leave it. If I leave it, I would go right at the bottom of the list again because that was my third offer. And I couldn't afford to lose this home because I had my second baby. And I was, going through the post-mortem depression, that phase. So I signed it and I thought I'll challenge it later on, which I did, after a few weeks, I did challenge it. But so the first year it was fine, except for the heating, the rent and service charge was fine. Second year it didn't increase, or maybe just by £1. But every year it keeps increasing. And then so I think on the third year, I thought, right, this is enough now. Enough is enough. Firstly, you guys mislead me for bidding for this property. And secondly, you're increasing the heating charges. You're doubling them, without no cause. So that's when I decided, right, I need to take action. And that's when I approached other residents as well.
So is it just heating that you're challenging, or does this include the sort of increases to service charge and rent as well?
Yeah, so we're not challenging the rent because obviously that's government by the, that's capped by the government, but it's the service charge and the heating that we're challenging.
Okay, now one of the problems, I agree that we have to pay a service charge. You get no qualms from me about that. If you're providing a service, you need to be paid for it, and there are costs related to that, and I'm happy to do that. So before we get into your battle, would you say that the service that you're receiving at the beginning when you were happy to pay it was in line with the service that you were receiving?
To be honest with you, I actually never really checked or digged into all this. So first 3 years, I wasn't happy, but I wasn't involved as much as I am now. And, looking at all the services and that we're not receiving. So first 2 years, I wasn't really involved. And then I realized, hold on, I've never seen my building, the corridor get cleaned. I've never seen a cleaner before. So what are we paying for? Then I started questioning myself after living here 2 years. Hold on, I'm paying the service charges. It keeps going up every year, but what am I paying for? Because I've never seen a cleaner in the building. And the bin chute keeps, getting locked, jammed every now and then. The lift breaks down every now and then. What's going on? Then I started inquiring, emailing THCH. And luckily one day a leaflet came through my door saying, are you having problem with your landlord, THCH, service charge problem, get in touch. And then that was my day when I received the leaflet and I got in touch with that person who's an activist. And he, from then we started all this campaign and withholding our service charges.
You see, I think you've made a valid point there. I think the sector, all the housing associations, I think we've all it's expensive, it's annoying, but it's okay. It's only when we start to dig into it, and we've started to dig into it because they've breached what is affordable, that we've started to question and push back. Now, I've always had an issue with the service here, but the service charge, it was when my neighbours were knocking on my door going, look, we can't afford this, that I started to dig in, and I found the errors with it. So I suspect that's echoed across the country, that we paid and forgot about it and kept it in the, but it's at a tipping point now where it can no longer be.
That's
So
right.
when you first thought, okay, enough's enough, I'm going to withhold my service charge. And I'd like to add, I'll put it at the beginning, this is not legal advice. Nobody on this podcast is telling you what you should and shouldn't do. You should get your own advice. You should seek your own legal support. We are just telling you Jakia's story. This is all we're doing here. When you have to put that disclaimer in so no one comes after us.
Absolutely.
When you started, what was the first thing you did when you said, right, we're going to withhold our service charge? What did you do?
So we got together, we wrote, I think I went around the building. I did go around the building inviting people to come to a meeting. And also we had posters around the building saying, are you having problem with your service charge? Do you want, attend the meeting on this day, this time? So we had a good turnout in the beginning because everyone, literally, well, not everyone, but so many people were frustrated. They were on the same boat as me, questioning the service charges, but no one found the route to how to go about this. So after doing door knocking and then having leaflets around the building, people attended the meeting and everyone had the same issue. We're not getting the service charges, but it keeps increasing. Why? So then we decided, we formally wrote to them saying, right, we will be withholding our service charges, and we gave them the reasons why. So that's how we all started. And we had the same template which we all sent to them, informing them we have the intention of withholding the service charges, giving them the reason why. And obviously, if they want to come forward and explain, we are willing to listen. So that's how we all started, really, getting together, doing door knocking, writing, having posters around the building.
Really grassroots stuff then. You really, started out just literally knocking on doors with posters. This is grassroots campaigning to get something which should be reasonable, a response from your landlord. And how did your landlord respond to that letter of you saying, we're happy to have this conversation?
It didn't go really positively. We asked for invoices. They did initially give us some invoices, which everyone looked at during our meeting with the projector, but it didn't make no sense. So I remember the activist who was actually supporting me. It was me and him, like really active. I was the one actively involved, and he was supporting me. So he was going through our invoices, and especially in regards to concierge, he found lots of discrepancies. During COVID time, they were charging us more, but not giving us the service. And it's quite complex. It's very complex. I can't explain. Till today, my head can't go around this whole concierge thing because it's way too complex. He gave me all the breakdown and stuff. So I did go to stage 1, stage 2 meeting. It didn't turn out well. They weren't really acknowledging their, how do I say, they weren't really acknowledging the error that they were making.
Yeah.
So we're still fighting for that. And there are other costs. I mean, that was just very intense. So the person who was supporting me, he was just looking at the concierge bit, and it was so intense, very complex. You need a mathematical person to understand all this. And I'm not a maths person, but I know they were charging us for the service during COVID, and we didn't receive that service. Even our CCTV hasn't been working for many years now. and they were still charging us. Only up until last year or the year before, they stopped charging us for the CCTV.
And
People's bike got stolen, people's car got smashed, and there was no CCTV evidence, you know?
yeah, that's something we've also had here. Do you mind saying who is this activist that supported you?
I don't want to name him.
Okay.
Yeah, it's better we leave this person out.
No, I understand completely. And what I have found is that it is very complex. I got support looking at our figures as well because I'm not an accountant. And to be honest with you, it bores me. And it's deliberately designed to be kind of misleading. And then their pushback was, oh, go to First-Tier Tribunal if you don't like it. And you think, well, hang on a minute. We're supposed to be together here on this.
And two, if you don't understand, you know something is wrong, you know it's not matching up. But like you said, you're not an accountant. I'm definitely not an accountant. And these things bore me as well because I don't understand the figures.
Yeah.
So of course it'll bore me. And so for me to get an accountant, that will cost me so much money, you know, so much. I can't afford it. And then for me to go to tribunal, I know there's an error. I know I'm not getting the service. It's just that I'm not able to articulate it because of my knowledge, you know?
Yeah.
And this is unfair because for me to get somebody involved, it'll cost me a fortune. It's not cheap, these accountants. So they do design it in a way where you give up. In the end, you give up and just surrender to them. That's the main goal. You know, just give up and surrender. But till today, I haven't surrendered and I will not be surrendering. It will end up in court because I want justice. I want accountability for the services that we are paying. I mean, there's no accountability for these services. We're simply asked to pay that amount. They give a breakdown, you know, on the appendix every year, but there's no transparency. Where is the money going? You know, invoices. I get some of the invoices, not the full. So that questions me. If you can provide invoice for certain services, why can't you provide it for all the services? And today I have not a single invoice for the heating, which is the major portion of our service charge.
But they're legally obliged under the Section 22. They're legally obliged to do all of that and to send it to you, aren't they?
Well, they're breaching everything. Even my tenancy, they're breaching. According to my tenancy, I'm not liable to pay for this heating because there is a clause in my tenancy which clearly mentions, except for rent and service charge. Any other charges have to be agreed by myself and my landlord. And heating is not a service charge. It's a different charge. And the heating, for people who are on benefits, that is not covered by benefits because it's not a service charge. You pay for the heating yourself. So, and there is another clause as well about providing electricity. They're simply, it's a bit complex, that bit. But, you know, and I am adamant that I'm not liable to pay for this heating. I'm not an expert, but I do believe I'm not liable to pay. And the only way we will know is once it goes to tribunal.
And have you got a date for tribunal? Is it going?
Oh, no. So I'm working on that. Myself, and a couple of other residents, we got together. We've had a meeting. Everyone's got their own shared folders to put all the evidence in, you know, everything to back it up. So we're in the beginning stage now. We haven't applied yet, but we will do soon.
So you're getting all your ducks lined up, getting all your facts in order.
That's right.
And we made an important point about, you know, it being deliberately confusing and us not understanding it and neither of us being accountants. There are lots of companies out there now who are doing dispensation claims. Do you think we need sort of accountants who can step up and come in and have a look at this, and we can get third-party accountants to do a review? Would that have been beneficial to you?
Are they free?
Well, no, this is what we need. I think the sector needs a third party due to come in before it goes to tribunal and say, actually, the maths are wrong here, like a housing ombudsman for the accounts.
Well, I would really like an audit, to be honest, an audit in the service charges. That's the only way we would know whether we're receiving the right service and how, you know, where our money is going. I mean, we did have this conversation with the residents, and we did say, look, let's get an accountant to verify these charges, to have a look in depth. But because I have a family of my own, I work full time as well. I can't do everything. I can't chase up for other people, So that's why I left it. Because it would have been me taking all the responsibilities.
Let's talk about that. I mean, how impactful has this been on your life? How so much of a negative impact has this had on you, your family, your work?
So it's had a very bad effect, especially in the beginning, because that's when I just recently started a new job. My husband finished his studies, graduating. So financially, it had a very negative impact. Mentally as well, I weren't able to give time to my children. I recently joined this new job. It's full time. Um, I wasn't able to give time to my children. Every other day, I had to get involved to either go door knocking, to speak to people face to face in the downstairs concierge, to arrange meeting, to arrange protest, go to see the mayor, go to see this person, that person. So in first 1 year, it was really tough. I felt like I had no time for my family. And, my kids went to bed without seeing me because I was busy doing this campaign. So it had a negative impact. We didn't go on holiday either. It was very stressful. I felt like I was all over the place, like financially not being able to afford these charges. My husband just graduated. I just got a full-time job. Everything was very messy, very messy. But I took on the challenge because if I don't, then it's going to linger on, it's going to prolong for even longer. And I had to take on the challenge as well, as much as it was mentally really um, straining. I, I just had to do it for my family.
You do, and there are more and more people.
I was obliged, actually. I felt I was obliged to do it.
More and more people are following suit, and a bit like myself, you never set out to become sort of a social housing activist, did you?
No, I was never involved in this kind of stuff before, and it never bothered me either, but when it was, when it was affecting my own family, that's when I thought, no, I have to take action because these people are simply getting away with no accountability. This is really unfair. Just because they are a housing association, they have more rights, they can do what they want. No. And obviously, in the beginning, I didn't know more what my rights were. And I was, from day one, I have been fighting with them for the heating charges. And plus, there were lots of, what's that word? Lots of void in my property before I moved in, which they didn't do. They promised that they will do it. They didn't. So I had to get legal aid involved. I just had a 6-week-old baby. So every week in the cold weather, I was going to the legal advice center, waiting in the queue for an hour to be seen, like outside, to be called inside, and then waiting for a solicitor to see me. So it was really hard. First 6 months, I used to do that. But I didn't give up. I don't know, because they misled me for bidding for this property. Secondly, I had to spend my own money to do the void work in the property when it was their responsibility. But luckily, I did get compensation for that. It was sorted because I had a really good, he was a veteran solicitor. So he was very good.
You
I
say
was like,
about you talk about sort of fighting, and yet I guarantee, and I haven't looked at the website for your social housing provider, but I guarantee on there we'll find something like, residents at the heart of everything we do.
oh,
We're here for our customers. Do you feel like a customer?
no, absolutely not. This is what they always say, even when they write to us. When I've complained to them many times about the service charges, oh, we really sympathize with you. We do understand that residents cannot, pay this much. Please feel free to get in touch with our benefits advisor who can, calculate and this and that. But not everyone is eligible for benefits. Someone like me and my husband, we're not earning high income. We're not on low income either. We're in the middle, right in the middle. We're just about surviving.
Yeah.
Um, you can't say that to everybody because that's not tailor made for everyone. It's only for people who are on low income. But we're not on low income. We're not on high income. We're like hanging, just
Yeah.
getting by.
And most of those benefit pages that they put on their website, they've all just sort of copied and had probably
Oh, yeah,
ChatGPT
the
rewrite it. Yeah, say the same thing in a different word so we can put it on our website. It's all just a false front, isn't it? Look, what support have you had? And I'm thinking, you've mentioned this accountant and the Citizens Advice Bureau. Any support from MPs or other third parties?
Um, well, I did go to the mayor couple of times, and we got together, myself, the mayor, two other residents, and somebody from our housing association. I think she's the director of housing.
Right.
Can't remember her position. So she came as well. We spoke about this, and I did say, look, there are some services which I don't want. We do not want these services. One of them was park guard, which is patrolling, which I've never seen and I've never heard in my life.
Yeah.
When I asked what is this for, she explained what it is. I said, well, I've never seen it. Why do we need this service?
Yeah.
So we came up with an action plan. We don't want the, certain services, and we don't want the heating either. That they need to look at heating, another option where it's affordable or where we can have the supplier to ourselves.
Yeah.
Right now, we're paying them and they're paying the supplier, but we don't even know if they're paying and what they're paying. So we would like to have control of our heating, where we are in charge of how much we use and how much we don't. So these were the action plans, and the mayor did support us in this. But sadly, he said he will do a follow-up, and he didn't do a follow-up. And that's been like this with other. We have been to the MP as well. We've expressed our concerns. I mean, there were a bit of negligence from our side as well, in the sense that following up with the MP. So I can't really say much on there. But I have approached the MP, even the housing regulator. We've been to the housing regulator, myself and three other residents. It was all about, oh, we really empathize, we understand, but no action really.
When you say you don't know where this money's going to, I've been doing my own research for another project that I'm currently working on. And all of these housing associations have millions in reserves, which they claim is, oh, we need it for a rainy day. But all the time they're growing interest on that. They're also, they take out loans when they go through bigger, when they merge, they bring on more property, they refinance their deals. And you've got the likes of Barclays, BlackRock, for example, who are then taking interest payments off of these loans that they've done. So there's lots of people making out of money here. What would you say to your housing association if you knew, for example, that they had over 10 million in reserves in the bank?
Oh.
I didn't mean to throw that one at you. That's a bit of a, it just came to me because it's something else I'm working on.
Okay. Well, to be honest with you, I don't care how much they have in savings and this and that. My point is, we want the right service. We want reasonable charges.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I don't want to pay service charges. Yeah, I am liable to pay, but something reasonable. And what you're charging, I want to see the evidence of that. I want to see invoices that, yeah, this money is actually going to this provider and blah, blah, blah. I want transparency. I want accountability. Just own up and tell us where the money is going. But that's where the problem is. There's no accountability. They keep denying that they're not making any profit because they are a charity organization,
Yeah.
which is rubbish. And invoices, they're not providing invoices for the services. I have invoices for some services, but it's so messed up. My husband tried to sit down one day and look at the services. He was going through the concierge, and he said, look, my husband did accounting up to, I think, level 4. And then he gave up and completed his degree in a different sector. He said, look, I can't do it. It's too messy because they have building. They don't specify what they mean by building. They don't specify what they mean by estate. They put 2-3 concierge together from 2-3 buildings, and they've that money they've divided into sections. It doesn't make sense. So he was like, look, we actually have to get a proper accountant if you want to have a look at this. I can't do it. That's how they've made it. There's no build. What do you mean by building? Building could be anything. They don't specify what they mean. And Yeah, it will drive people mental.
The
These
other
break.
the other horror story, the other side of that coin is
Oh,
that
honestly, I don't even. When I look at it, I'm like, oh no, I can't do this. Just by looking at the invoice, I'm like, oh, I can't do it. And then when you go deep into it, you try to work it out. You don't know what you're working out because you don't know what this service is, what that service is. It's just crazy.
the other side of that is many within the housing associations, quite possibly the people you're communicating with, they don't have a clue either, because they've inherited different legacy systems. So, oh, we've always charged this. This is what we've charged. This goes here and it's a building and this is the concierge and that's the figure. They don't understand the background behind it and they just pass it on as information.
Absolutely, because these people, they know that only very rare is maybe one in every 1,000 will come forward with a complaint asking for breakdown service charges. But many people, even I was like that. I was a victim.
Mm.
I didn't know what I was paying. We were just paying until it got, to a point where it's too much now. We can't take it. We were just paying, not knowing what we're paying for. I didn't know what service we were getting in the beginning. So there are many people still like that today who aren't aware. And even if they are aware, they're afraid to take actions because their homes might get taken away. Their lives will be at jeopardy. So they don't want to get involved. And the worst thing is, really, really makes me angry, is the heating charges. They misled me, they misled other residents, and I have been charged for 2 services. So the hot water and heating is together, and that I pay to my landlord. So since the start of my tenancy in this property, I have not been provided with the hot water, but I've been paying my energy supplier all along for the hot water. So in the beginning, obviously, we didn't know or we didn't inquire as much. But last 3 years, my husband is seeing that every month he goes into the hub, it shows that we're paying for heating. So 2 years we've been going back and forth with the THCH, asking them, why are we paying for heating? When we're paying you the heating, why? Why are we paying separate heating charges? And there was, back and forth, oh, we will do this, we will come round, we'll send an electrician, but nothing of that sort happened. I had to get an electrician, independent one, last February. And upon his investigation, he found that they're not providing me with hot water. I'm just being provided with the heating. And as soon as he gave me that report, I think 6 of my residents immediately got the same electrician to verify if they're getting the service that they're paying for. And 2 of them found that they haven't been provided with hot water and heating since the start of their tenancy. But they didn't realize all these years they were just paying.
And this is so many people. And my day always starts with, roughly about 10 emails from residents who are either being overcharged or they've got damp, they've got kids with breathing issues, they've got a lack of security, antisocial behavior. And I get all of these, and a lot of them I say, well, look, the only thing I can really do is to help publicize it. But there's that fear that they'll get some retaliation from their landlord. And that really goes against the mantra of putting the customer at the heart of everything we do. And look, we're coming quickly to an end here. You've obviously found this very intimidating. You've walked the walk. I have been, dragged through the courts, arrested, all for speaking up for residents' rights. What would be your advice to people who look at this and who look at the 2 of us and go, actually, I am afraid I can't do that. I can't do that. What would your advice to them be?
To be honest, me as an individual, I am not afraid to raise my voice, to stand up for what is right. So I personally believe stand up. I believe what is right, wrong is wrong. Even if no one is standing by me, I will still stand up for what is right. And I'm not afraid to speak up because this is my ethics.
Mm-hmm.
I stand up for what is right, whether others like it or not. I do fall out with people, it's not fall out, but there's this dislike and stuff, but it's okay because what is right. Even if I'm doing it, it's still, right is right, wrong is wrong, no matter who does it. So even if I'm doing something wrong, I acknowledge that, and I need to correct that mistake when I'm doing something wrong. So I acknowledge it, and then I correct it. No one's perfect, but we have to try to speak up for what is right. So this is why I stood up. I am the one more actively involved. They know me very well. Even the politicians know me as well, because I've been to some of their protests and directly campaigning for them, which was the mayor. I mean, everyone's fighting for justice in this world, in this cruel world we're living in, where, I mean, there's so much going on in this world. People are fighting for their rights, fighting for justice. And I know people just want peace. But the only way we will attain peace is by taking actions. And because this is my home, I've been brought up in Bethnal Green all my life. This is my home. I don't want to go anywhere, and I'm not going to go anywhere. So my kids, this is their home. This is their future. So this is why I had to take action, because this cannot happen. It needs to stop. We need to get to the bottom of this. We need justice and accountability. So you need to be strong to be like this. But I would advise people, if they really want to take on a challenge, get the residents involved. So it will take up time, it will take up energy, it will take up everything, maybe every day in the beginning, but it'll be worth it. Get together, do door knocking, write posters, arrange meetings, and then take it from there. It's really worth it, honestly. After battling for 2 years, I mean, it's my 3rd year now. I feel a lot relaxed now than I was before.
Yeah.
Because my mindset is, no, I'm not going to give in. They're not going to bully me. And either they take me to tribunal or I do. I believe in justice. So that's what I'm waiting for, to take it to court. And then whatever the judge decides, we'll take it from there. But I'm not going to give up just because they're bullying me. They're threatening me with court letters. I'm not going to give up. And this is what they've been doing. Threatening people is a procedure that they have to do. But I have been responding to those letters as well. So I'm very firm with what I think is right. I will take action,
You and me are cut from the same hymn sheet, as my nan would say. And you've said a lot of things I've said, and you've touched the heart there. That's a perfect way to end this podcast. Stay strong. You are not alone. You have an army, growing army behind you, and the housing sector is in your corner. Jakia, thank you so much indeed for coming on today. Stay in contact. Let's keep the conversations happening. If there's anything or you think I can do, please let us know. And you stay strong. And you are an absolute inspiration. Thank you so much indeed for coming on today.
Thank you for having me. No problem. I hope people feel inspired after seeing this.
Good. Let's hope so.
Thank you so much.